Nice to have you all with us tonight. Terry, you want to get us started?
Thank you for being here. We are excited. Tonight, I will tell you that Ashley and I both know that what we talk about can feel a little heavy and a little deep. And so we've tried to lighten up tonight and make it more interactive to be able to have you participate with us, whether it's through the chat, whether it's answering a question. So please, we covet that so that we know what you're thinking and if we're really getting to where we need to go. Ashley, if you can share a screen for me, she's my tech guru over here to keep everything straight. What we would like to do. Stephanie thought she had an icebreaker. I have one as well. What I would like for you to think about tonight is what's on your bucket list. And we think about bucket list, and it's usually an extensive trip or something that might take a lot of money or time. But your bucket list can be related to food, checking out a new hobby, something simple and easy. Does anybody have a bucket list thing that they're working on or want to do soon?
In the chat, I want to see my children.
Oh, I hope that that works for you very soon. I think that's very, very important. While everybody else might be typing in or doing, Ashley's going to kind of watch that for me. I'll tell you my bucket list. I have two children, and they grew up sharing their mom because they're only 5 years apart. So my bucket list is a trip. I want to start it with one of my children, meet in the middle, and have all three of us together for about a day or a day and a half, send the first one off, and have the rest of my trip in with my other child so that we have one-on-one time, because I don't think we ever get enough of that. Thank you for sharing your bucket list. I think those are important that we all think about that because that shapes our legacy and things we're talking about tonight. Here's our recap. We kind of asked, and Stephanie helped us with the poll. Did you think about writing a legacy statement? Did you take any actions last week? Did you get any closer? And I actually even tagged Stephanie in my notes because, she talked about getting with family and talking about things. And I was like, who knows if she got it all done yet? But just remembering that we have it there and that we want to do that. If you did do part of your homework, how'd you feel getting it started or accomplished? Was it a positive thing for you? Did it make you feel a little bit better after hearing some of that stuff last time to look at it and go, I'm chiseling away just a little bit at things that are important to me. So I hope that each one of you got to spend a little time there. And if you didn't, we still got a little bit of time, hopefully, to work on this. Now, here's what I want us to do. I want us to take a body scan game tonight because I want us to see what our emotions do to our physical body. So I know we asked you to turn your camera on, but now I'm going to ask you to just close your eyes, and I want you to take some deep breaths in, nice and slow, but I want you to breathe out just a little bit deeper than you breathed in. I want you to try to clear your mind of everything that happened today and just be present with your physical body, what you're feeling. As you've taken a couple of breaths, start at your head and work down. Are you feeling your emotions in your body. You might feel them as a tingle. Maybe it's warmth or tightness. If you're feeling something like that in your body, put your hand over where you're feeling. Take the time to have that and name what you're feeling. Is it good? Is it heavy? Is it pleasant? What I would like for us to do is talk about the fact that we are taught in the South to suppress our emotions, and we often do it. We shove them down in our physical body. And when we do that, the things that we experience in our next slide actually show some of those to us. But what I'm thinking is when I do that, it's headaches. It might be an upset stomach. Maybe I start wondering about my memory because I can't remember where I put my car keys because I've got something just shoved down deep that I have not given time to. It also increases our risk of physical problems such as diabetes and heart disease. Do any of you have these symptoms? Do we always answer it and say, Terry, it's hereditary, honey. There's nothing I can do about it. It may be hereditary, but are we making it worse by not befriending our emotions and trying to balance out our body so that we have self-care? One of my good friends this past week looked at me and said, Terry, you either express your emotions or you depress them. And sis, when you depress them, you are going to be depressed. Hadn't really thought about it like that. But if we hold them in, a lot of times we go inward and we don't want to think about it and we end up depressed. Ashley?
That is very true in holding in emotions. And so, in a moment, we're going to watch a really great video about a certain emotion. But first, I want to have you look at these emotions here on the screen. So typically when we think about emotions, or we are sitting with a friend and they are sharing a story, and they have a certain look on their face, or they are a certain tone of voice, maybe, do we start to label what is happening in this interaction? So when I'm teaching college kids a class about emotions, I do that quite a bit, then I will ask them to have their hands ready, and I will say, raise your right hand if the emotion that I share with you is a good emotion. Raise your left if it's a bad one. And so they're at the ready, and then so I'll start naming them. Happy, right hand's up. Fearful, left hand up. Content, right hand. Angry, ooh, that was scary. Left. Resentment, left. So then I challenge those students. What if we just consider that emotions just are emotions? They're not good or bad. They just are. And so when we talk about, or we think back to our childhood and being raised in the South, or raised in any type of environment where showing emotions is not really allowed, and you think about what happened, when you would start to cry, or if you would start to be angry about something that your parents told you, and you were met with maybe punishment, and told to not react that way. And so what happens is we have a learned response to stuff those emotions, and then they come out in unhealthy ways. And so as a result, then it's harder for us to be with others as we are adults when they are having some sort of intense emotion. We're not sure what to do about that. It's hard for us to take sometimes, and we want to fix the situation so that we can just level it out a little bit and not be so intense. So thinking on that, I want us to watch a little video from Francis Weller. And he has written a book that I reference quite a bit called The Wild Edge of Sorrow. And when we send a follow-up email after this class, then I will name that book for you. So in case you want to read it. But he talks a lot about emotions, where grief comes from in that book. He talks a lot about the expression of emotions. So he did a men's conference some time ago, and he was interviewed at that men's conference. And so this clip is a piece of that interview. And I'm going to see what you think about it when we're done. We'll start it at the right spot, though. We're going to skip a lot of it. Here we go.
I think that when we deny grief its full access, and when we compact grief internally, it does generate a lot of rage. My friend Malidoma Some once said, "You cannot trust a man who cannot grieve. He becomes a walking powder keg in the community." So there is this experience of compressed grief leading to some type of explosive quality. And we see that throughout the culture right now, don't we? I mean, the violence that is rampant in terms of gunfire and even the whole military and industrial industry is geared towards that whole expression of unresolved grief. Martin Prechtel said that all war is unmetabolized grief. That's a part of anger's life. Anger is much bigger than that. Anger is its own rightful emotion that speaks to boundary and violation and justice and protection. That's a very necessary energy. Jung once said the first impulse to individuation comes through Mars. In other words, the first genuine expression of who I am in this world comes through the god of war. You know, we need that ability to stand. This is where I stand. This is who I am. And I make this declaration. And it comes out of that energy. The thing that we don't typically do is develop it into a martial art. We remain pretty unskilled around Mars, around anger, around that energy. So we need to actually mature that quality. Anger, when it's done well, is a relational process. It is revelatory. I am telling you about me. I am telling you what is upset, what is troubled, what has gotten into my body that is causing me to feel deeply about something. Intimidation is an attempt to silence a relationship. It is meant to push you away from me and to feel frightened of me. So it is a rupture. It is the breaking of a connection rather than a deepening of one. True anger leads to intimacy. It is revelatory, like I tell you. I am telling you something so deep about me. Why I'm angry is because something got to me so much at the heart of who I am. Something I love, something I cherish, something I want to protect has been injured and violated. And so I need to tell you about this so you know me more deeply. Intimidation does just the opposite. It breaks the bond and creates distance and fear. Healthy power, healthy anger is something that serves the greater good, where intimidation tends to serve the narrow interest of either the individual or even the country. You know, we intimidate a lot of countries with our might and our force, but we lose a certain degree of soulfulness in that process of intimidation.
What do y'all think about that? Y'all have any thoughts about what he said about anger just being a way to be more intimate with someone and to share a piece of yourself? I mean, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I think it's interesting for me. I never really thought about anger in that way, but when I hear him talk about it and I think back about things that have made me just truly to my core angry, I can see that. So it's interesting to think about it. And we try to suppress that because you don't want to be angry at people, right?
Yeah, so the part where he said intimidation silences. So when we have in the past or we've grown up in a situation where anger is not allowed to be shared or to be experienced, then we were intimidated into stopping that. And so he uses the word powder keg, or the two words powder keg, and how suppressing those can lead to a blow up. So anybody else have any thoughts about what he said?
Something I've observed in other relationships, I've seen people get mad at loved ones when they're gone. And it's not that they're mad that they're gone. I really think it's that they miss them. And so it manifests as anger. And so that's after hearing him say that too, it just made me realize that the emotion of that person is maybe loneliness or isolation, but it comes off as mad or angry.
That's exactly right. And that's what he said, is that it is unmetabolized grief. So again, what happens when we are crying and as we're with someone and we're sharing our grief and trying to share how we feel about something and we start to cry, what happens? And when we know better, we do better. So Terry, I know that you've had a lot of training as a nurse and you've had a lot of training as a doula as well. And so through that training, we learn how to be with intense emotions. So before you knew better, what did you do before your training when someone in your presence was, let's say, crying? Unmute.
I can hit this right on the head. How many times have we been in a funeral home and we are waiting to go through a line to meet with the family? They're upset, they may be crying, and what do we all do? We look for Kleenex to hand them, right? We have them shoved in our pockets, in our pocketbook. We might even have one, tucked away just so we've got enough. Why do we do that, though? We think it is that we are supporting the person crying. But what we're really doing is we're uncomfortable in the current situation and we want to fix that. So we are going to offer that Kleenex. Those are things that we see, and I know there's things you can tell me, honey, he's in a better place. It'll all be okay. Those kind of things are there and they're hard. They're hard for all of us to look at. And so the Kleenex thing, I give you a little thought about. And the next time someone's crying in front of you, if they don't ask you for a Kleenex or give you the indication that they really want you to get one for them, let them be right where they are. When they're talking to you about losing their loved one, and we say, but he's in a better place. That might be true. But the thing is, that's not what's going to help that person that's sitting there with tears running down their face, because they're really hurting because that person is no longer here, like Stephanie was talking about. and we want them back. We need somebody to see us and talk to us about our feelings and emotions. What can we do instead? One of my most favorite things is I wished I had the right words. Please know that I care for you and your family. Because we're not really sure what those feelings and emotions are, but they covet us being close and nearby. Another thing is I like to hug, but not everybody does. So we need to ask whether it's an open arm or whether it's saying, is it okay to give you a hug? Because when we hug somebody and they're a hugger, that's a safe place and they feel comfortable there. They can cry, they can laugh, they can wipe their eyes off on your shirt if they need to, and you can wash it because that's okay. So there's things that we need to do to support them. If you're in a quiet place, if you've gone to visit a friend that's lost a loved one, how does this loss make you feel today? They really, really want somebody to listen to them and not be telling them what they need to do.
So I wonder what are some things maybe that you all in this room, is there something that you can think of? Is there some illustration that you can think of that maybe you have used when someone is having an intense emotion, whether that's anger or sadness, or anything? Is there something that you have used before that is effective?
Well, kind of a personal thing. When my husband passed, people would talk to me about their favorite memories of him and all. I learned about all of the counseling and the support that he had done for people that, of course, as long as he was alive, was confidential. And it gave me a whole new packet of memories, good things to remember about his life.
Oh, I love that. Sharing good memories is always a way to
Yes.
help. Yes, it is. Thank you. Everybody loves to help, I know. And it's hard to know what to do in some situations. But again, when you understand that emotions are just normal, feelings are normal, and that it's even healthy to just let them go. And if you can be the sounding board for someone, then that is healing. So you can even think of yourself as a healer when that happens, being that shoulder to literally cry on and to just listen and not fix and not share your own story or think of the next thing you're going to say. Sometimes that pause is just as effective as the words that you're thinking that you might need to say. So we call that, what do we call that, Terry?
I started to say, what now?
I love this.
Being with intense emotions.
Yep.
Um,
We call that though. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, roll.
No, you're
Fixing.
rolling.
We're fixing. Are we fixing? Is that what you're getting to?
I'm not fixing. I'm saying, are we the friend squad or the fixer upper?
Oh, you know what? There are two kinds of people, and sometimes they blend. We can blend over, but we have the friend squad and we have the fixer uppers. Our friends are somebody that we go to that are having a difficult time. And when we get there, we need to think about what kind of person do they want coming to see them? Do they need their friend squad? Do they need somebody that listens to them, that supports them, that loves them? Or do they need that fixer-upper that's just going to come through the door, tell them what they need to do, start cleaning their house, handing them a Kleenex and telling them to just put those emotions away. We're going to go to Marshall's and see what's on sale today. That is difficult. And think about a time that you have been in need of that friend, and which one of those did you really need to come into your life? Every now and then you're stuck and you kind of need somebody that gives you just a little bit of a push, but not enough that it's not your journey. So I tend to think that what I really want is I want my friend squad. I want them there. I want them seeing me. I want them to see what I'm feeling. And I want them to support me with loving kindness. Which approach is better for you? Anybody like those fixers to just always come and fix a problem for you? Or do you like to have input in your life and what's going on and how you feel?
Well, that's what I appreciate about you, Terry, is that you are that friend for me. And so I enjoy getting to talk to you. Terry and I meet every Monday for our business, but it's more than that. It is also a time to vent sometimes. And Terry doesn't try to fix. Now, she does ask good questions. Sometimes we need that big, bold question to make us think, but she's not trying to fix. She's just being the friend squad instead of the fixer-upper. So I really do appreciate that about Terry. And so grief just doesn't come when somebody dies. Like I said, we meet together every Monday and we talk about lots of things. And rarely is it about somebody just died. I mean, we talk about death a lot as death do us, but we also talk about things like, hey, I'm really having a tough time with a friendship today. Or if we've got somebody in our life that has lost a job, maybe they've retired, wondering what to do with themselves, that we hold a lot of identity in our jobs and our work that we do. So what happens when we don't have that job anymore and we have a hard time thinking about who we are now? And so that can be a loss. And then moving to a new city or state or even new country, leaving behind the old, walking through that new door and starting over with a clean slate. Sometimes that's scary. Sometimes it's a positive feeling for people, and sometimes it isn't. A loss of independence as we age, that's definitely on the forefront of our minds sometimes, is what happens if I lose my independence? How am I going to feel? We've all probably been a care partner for someone who has lost independence, and they have to go through that grieving process. And of course, you're probably thinking of a number of other things as well that that fall in this category of loss. So how we can be there for people through those losses is that friend squad and being a great listener. And somebody said in the chat that sometimes holding out a tissue to somebody who's crying signifies, I need you to stop. So what's that telling that person is that we're not a safe place here for you to cry. Now, you need to just buckle up and let's get moving on. Or I'm going to give you a list of ways that I can help you stop crying. And if you don't want to take those ways, and that's going to hurt my feelings, and suddenly it's about me, when it should be about the person who's experiencing emotion, because you'll have your turn, some other day. So speaking about you and your turn, let's have a little emotional backpack check. So when we think about what emotions are in our backpack, we think about putting things into that backpack or that suitcase. And when we're not letting it out, as Francis Weller says, we're not letting it out. We're just stuffing that backpack so full that we can barely move it. So what do we do when we have such a heavy backpack, a heavy suitcase? And we've tried talking to friends and they've not been to this class, so they don't know what you know right now. So you're having a hard time finding someone to be that outlet for you. So what is something that you can do to unpack this backpack? So thinking about that, what are some favorite things that you do when you feel overwhelmed? So that might be taking a walk in nature or listening to music, spending time with loved ones, all those types of things. So you may not realize what you're doing there, but when you feel bad, or maybe maybe you take a bath, or maybe you get a massage, something like that. You may not know what you're doing, but you've created a ritual for yourself. And sometimes when we think about the word ritual, we think about, I don't know, voodoo or some kind of outlandish thing that's not something that we do. I'm too proper and reserved. I don't do a ritual. Well, we all do rituals. Even going to the funeral home's a ritual, and graduations are rituals, weddings. We do those all the time, but we even do personal rituals quite a bit. So thinking about when you're dragging around that heavy suitcase or backpack, what is something that you do as a ritual to unpack it? So if you don't have something that you already do, or if it's not been effective for you, then we have an idea of a superhero ritual that you might can do. And I'm going to let Terry talk about that ritual idea because I think it's great.
I think it's important for us to think about rituals and accept them. I think, as Ashley said, it can be something that we're often not used to, but we've kind of looked at it and said, let's give it a name that everybody can remember and enjoy and have fun with. So tonight, I would like to tell you about the transformation station. And I want everybody to consider where that's going to be for you. Normally, it may be a comfy corner in your house. When we were children, we loved to have a blanket fort. How many of you had mom throw a blanket over two chairs and give you popcorn or something, and you'd stay there for hours, you'd sleep, you'd read a book, you'd have fun? So we want to find our transformation station, and we want a place that we can go. You want that soft place in your house, but this is also a place that may be just internally for us. In that transformation station, we have two sides to that, though, okay? We're going to have the volcano zone. That's for those hard, strong emotions that have built up in us and they've got to come out. So in that side of our station, we might want swimming pool noodles. We might want a pillow or a small doll that we just beat against something that just, I need to get this out of me. And we talk to ourselves and we express those emotions and let them out. There is nothing wrong with screaming and crying. Did that today. Y'all, I had a car wreck and I just was full. So I took that volcano zone side and let it out today. And I feel better tonight. It's a good thing. But on the other side of our transformation station, we are going to have the calming cove, a peaceful place, a quiet place, a place that we can talk softly to ourselves and think about the emotions that we're feeling. That's where we've got those good emotions that we don't want to let go of. We want them and we want to share them inside our bodies because we grow with good emotions, those soft emotions. Sometimes those stronger emotions bring up anger and things that hurt our body. So we're going to take that and we're going to look at our transformation station and consider it our little world. A place to express our emotions, big or small, soft or strong, in a comfortable manner. It's our safe place. If you do that at night, get rid of those strong emotions, close up your transformation station, lay down for bed, and go to sleep. I promise you'll have a better night's sleep. If you do it in the morning when you first wake up and something's still heavy from maybe the night before, deal with it before you even get out of bed. Go find your transformation station, name it, feel it, and see what you need to do to let go of that. Because if we do that, we start our day empowered and ready to go. Every day I try to pick one word simply because my meditation app tells me, how are you feeling? Blessed, hopeful, courageous. Pick a word for the day, write it down, and be empowered to start your day just that way. There are other things that we can do, and I want you to be thinking because you may have some to share. One I love to do is to write a letter and get it all out of my little head and then burn it. The person I'm thinking about or that I have some strong emotions about may not ever need to read that letter. But if somebody's on my heart in love and compassion, maybe I don't burn the letter. Maybe I share it with them because, like Miss Margaret said, she got to learn everything that her husband had done after he had passed away. But wouldn't it be nice for all those people to share those things with him long before he's gone and you together so you can talk about them? So I love writing letters, and they either get burnt or they get held until I see somebody. Do you have something that you like to do that kind of helps you deal with some of your emotions? Date nights. You're missing your spouse. You always had a date night on Friday night. So what are you going to do to build your legacy and honor the person that you're missing? Maybe you go out and volunteer at a nonprofit. Maybe you set that night to go out with friends. And when you do, make sure you talk about the person you're missing. I think it's so wonderful when somebody brings up people in my life that are not here anymore and they want to tell me a story about them. It brings them back. It keeps them here. The biggest loss is when we quit talking about those that have left us. And so I think that's really important that we do that. The one thing that we've kind of talked about, and you brought it up, is the fact that we often want to handle our situation on our own. I'm strong. I can do this. I don't need community. I've got this.
Right.
But the simple fact is that we were not built to live our lives alone. We know that the pattern was placed in front of us, but we tend to shy away from that when we're dealing with our emotions, right? We were built to live in a community, to love on each other, to have that person, whether it's a friend that's a good listener, it might be a life coach that you're using, it might even be a therapist that you really need to consider talking to. Whatever we don't need to do is stay stuck.
Well,
And
and
I
I
was
like what she said too, though, Terry, is that if you don't have an outlet and you're not allowing yourself to have that outlet, how can you be there for other people? Because your cup is too full. There's nowhere to put anything else. You can't take on other people's emotions if you haven't had an outlet for yourself. So I appreciated that too, what she
very
said.
much.
Mm-hmm.
We look at it and we need both sides of that. But our emotions are things that we tend to ignore and push down, right? I look at it, and if you started having heart palpitations or not feeling really good, having indigestion, and we women know that can be a sign of a heart problem, would you go to a cardiologist? Or would you just not worry about it? I say we'd probably go to the cardiologist, right? I think that's probably a given. And then I like to think about this one. If you got in the shower in the morning to take your shower and you look down at your right foot and you look like you had some kind of green fungus that's starting to grow on that foot or up under that toenail, I bet you would call your podiatrist or your PCP and go, you got to do something about this. This is wrong. We should be just as proactive when we are not feeling good, when our emotions are not balanced. We need to give that part of our body the very same respect that we give our heart, our foot, our lungs. It is important for us to have that. It's important to express our emotions, and grief is one of those things that we're talking about tonight. We don't have to push that down. As a matter of fact, we need to name some of the things that we're feeling. Grief, the loss of a job. We can say we're just mad. We're mad, but we're also grieving over the loss of that job. So don't stay stuck. Get where you need to go and talk to your community. The reason why I say that tonight is because the best legacy we can leave is communicating with our tribe, our core group. Because if we express our emotions to them, they learn from that. They start changing. They start understanding that it is perfectly okay for me to tell my mom that I'm angry. And it might be even because of something she did. Mom needs to take that from me and understand. Ask questions. Open up dialogue. Because we need everyone around us to understand our wishes and desires, because your tribe are going to be the people that speak for you when you no longer can or you're not here. And how can they do that if they don't know what you feel about things? And all of a sudden, you've made the legacy that keeps giving for generations. This continues. Tell people, learn to talk to me about your emotions. When you go to meet somebody for coffee, rather than how are you feeling today? Oh, good. And then you go on to something else. Why do you feel good today? Talk to them about it. If they're just not feeling good, I don't know. It's just a down day. I'll get over it. You have the resources now to look at that person and know we need to listen and we need to ask an open-ended question that they are going to have to explain to you. If it's a down day, why? Did something happen this morning? Tell me about it. You can start the ball rolling for you and everyone around you. And we hope that you do that because it is a huge impact around you and everyone that you touch. Our simple acts of kindness do more to build our legacy than leaving hundreds of thousands of dollars to a university to build a building with your name on it. It's great if you can do that, and I hope you do. I hope it's a music building, because music stays with us and we love it forever. But we can touch so many people every day with a simple smile, a wave. It's important, and we all have that ability to do that. What I would like for you to consider tonight is that we want a life refresh button. Do you remember when Target used to have the button, that everybody went in and wanted to hit and do? And I don't know, Christy might remember, Stephanie might be too young, but the button was there and you used it, and it was, I don't know, was it a stop button? I just remember it was red and it was at Target. what I want you to do is think about your life refresh button. Tonight, we've increased awareness about things that we say or things that we do. You have a willingness to help and support those around you by expressing yourself and also allowing them to express their emotions to you and holding that space for them. And I hope that this also sparks your desire to make a positive change. With everything that we've talked about tonight, is there anything in your life that you feel like needs a little upgrade? I see some heads going this way, right? We've got it. We know that it's there. I won't ever forget the first time I heard the Kleenex thing. And ladies, it's been hard, but I've had to keep my Kleenexes in my purse. They are for me. They're not for anybody else unless they ask for them. If there's something you're really thinking about, I want you to act on that. Deepening connections with your friends. Talking about your emotions, being honest. And don't just tell them I feel like today and leave it. Let them know why. Maybe they're the right person to ask you if they can give you a hug, and you take that hug and you just feel better. Some people are really good huggers, and that place is a very safe environment to be in. It's important that we do this because as we're going through life and walking toward the end of our journey, let's leave that simple legacy every day. Because the people we're around are going to be the ones that are going to uphold your wishes and desires, and they need to know them. Tonight, before we close and you get away from us, I would like for you to think about, what is your emotional health tonight? How you feeling? Is it good? Is it important? Where are you with that? I want you to stand up and take action with this tonight. Here's kind of where your homework comes in for this course. Think about your emotional health. How do you feel? And identify where you feel it, just like we did at the starting in class. How's your heart feeling? How's your mind feeling? Where are you holding emotions that are unhealthy and you want to let go of them? And then think of one action step that you can do this week that helps you step toward healing. We all know healing doesn't happen overnight, but we can start that journey and all feel better. Life gets better with every little ritual, every little thing we do to support ourselves. If you go to the transformation station and you need to duke it out to get it out, do that. It's important and it will be valuable to you. Are there any questions? Anything you're thinking about? Ashley and I are here. We want to be able to answer those for you. And I also want to tell you that if you have things you want to talk to us about, and it's not on this screen tonight or another night, please contact us. We are more than happy to talk with you and spend a little bit of time with you. We are on Facebook. If you're Facebook fanatics, look up Life Journey Advisors and like our page. You can catch us there. We're also on Instagram or LinkedIn. I'm sorry, not Instagram, LinkedIn. You can find us there if you're a LinkedIn nerd. But find us, share with us, Christy can get us. Stephanie can get us. If you need to talk to someone and you think it's us, please reach out. We appreciate you coming online with us tonight and showing us your beautiful faces tonight. It's made my heart happy. And if there are things that have changed you tonight, take a minute before you go to bed, go to your transformation station and sit with that for a minute. I hope that you get to go to the Calm Cove and think about just the simple things that you want to put into place tomorrow, and then set it down and have a good night's sleep. We appreciate you being here tonight. In 2 weeks, April 2nd, it's empowering. So we're going to get ready to feel empowered and rock and roll. So we hope to see you then. And if there's friends you want to invite, get them registered. Tell them to come on. They can watch the recordings for the first 2 and catch up. Just don't tell them they got homework to do, okay? We want them to figure that out when they go through the class. Thank you so much.